I have now the great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Nicolas Bourriaud, who is curator and art critic. From 1999 to 2006, he was co-founder and co-director of the Palais de Tokyo, together with Jérôme Sans. He was founder and director of the magazine Documents sur l'Art. And in 2009, Bourriaud will curate the fourth Tate Triennial at Tate Britain in London. Nicolas has published many books: Relational Aesthetics, 98, Post-Production, 2001 are some of them. And when we had lunch together the other day, we actually found out that we both do an event in London, and we must say that we were actually neighbors in Paris, and now we are again neighbors in London, so we thought it would be nice to celebrate and at the same time play ping pong. So we have the whole afternoon with many of our participants in the marathon send actually SMS questions to Nicolas for Carsten Höller. And Nicolas has agreed to present here his manifesto, Alter Modern Manifesto. So please join me in welcoming here Nicolas Bourriaud. Thank you.
Good evening. Travel, cultural exchanges, and examination of history are not merely fashionable themes, but markers of a profound evolution in our vision of the world and our way of inhabiting it. More generally, our globalized perception calls for new types of representation. Our daily lives are played out against a more enormous backdrop than ever before, and depend now on transnational entities, short or long-distance journeys in a chaotic and teeming universe. Many signs suggest that the historical period defined by postmodernism has come to an end. Multiculturalism and the discourse of identity is being overtaken by a planetary movement of pluralization. Cultural relativism and deconstruction, substituted for modernist universalism, give us no weapons against the twofold threat of uniformity, standardization, and mass culture on one side, and traditionalist far-right withdrawal. The times are now propitious for the recomposition of a modernity in the present, reconfigured according to the specific context within which we live, crucially in the age of globalization, understood in its economic, political, and cultural aspects. In one word, an alter modernity. If 20th century modernism was above all a Western cultural phenomenon, alter modernity arises out of planetary negotiations, discussions between agents from very different cultures. Stripped of a center, it can only be polyglot. Altermodernity is characterized by translation, unlike the modernism of the 20th century, which spoke the abstract language of the colonial West, and postmodernism, on the other side, which encloses artistic phenomena in origins and identities. We are then entering the era of universal subtitling, of generalized dubbing. Today's art explores the bonds that text and image weave between themselves. Artists traverse a cultural landscape saturated with signs, creating new pathways between multiple formats of expression and communication. The artist becomes homo viator, the prototype of the traveler, whose passage through signs and formats refers to a contemporary experience of mobility, travel, and transpassing. These evolutions can be seen in many artworks and the way they are made. A new type of form is appearing, the journey form, made of lines drawn in both space and time, materializing trajectories rather than destinations. The form of the work expresses a course, a wandering, rather than a fixed space-time. What I call altermodern art can be read as an hypertext. Artists translate and transcode information from one format to another and wander in geography as well as in history. This gives rise to practices which might be referred to as time-specific in response to the site-specific work of the 1960s. flight lines, translation programs, and chains of heterogeneous elements articulate each other. Our universe becomes a territory, all dimensions of which may be traveled both in time and space. And to conclude, I would say that the recent events that happened in the economic world, in the credit crunch, for example, are very interesting. One thing, I'm a child of the 1973, petrol shock. And this is the exact moment when capitalism became disconnected, totally disconnected from natural resources. And strangely enough, we could date postmodernism from this exact moment. It's the second half of the 70s. This moment where natural resources on one side, the material world, and this financial capitalism just tied up this exact moment. We're coming out of it. Thank you very much.